Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome, Kim. So glad to
Hi,
have you here today.
thank you. Thank you for having me, Terry.
Yeah, so excited. So my name's Terry, and I have Holding Your Space, and of course, Kim from Intuivew. And I've been a member for a long time with Kim, and I've taken courses. And right now, I'm in the empathy. Is it a club or is it?
It's a workshop, I
uh,
guess. It's
Okay.
4 classes, so it's the workshop, and it's a support group as well for a lot. I know empaths are kind of going through it right now, so
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of that.
Right. That's what it feels like. It feels like an amazing group of people coming
Yeah.
together and just talking about empathy. And empathy is not always easy in this time on the planet.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not. I'm going to be repeating the group in June. So it's all this month. It's 4 classes, but then I'll repeat it again in June. So if anybody is interested later on, they can do it then. But yeah, it's a tricky time for empaths right now, and empaths are, their job, or why they're here, is partly to take on the pain of the world, right? That's part of what they do, and so it's very much in their DNA to um, want to help and want to make things better and be the peacekeepers, and it's a tricky time for all of that right now. We're having to witness a lot of things that we can't do anything about necessarily. We're kind of just having to be the witness to what is happening, and a lot of it right now has to do with empaths sort of learning, as we talked about on my Sunday show, about self-compassion, self-care, um, and putting up boundaries and things like that. And it's really, really tough. It's really hard for empaths to do that.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Because my initial reaction for years was to fix everything. And I found out finally that that wasn't being fair to me
Right.
because I have to fix me before I can fix anybody else. And but it's still sometimes my initial reaction is, oh, let me help you, let me offer you this, when really people sometimes just need to be heard.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Um, and I think that, it's interesting because empaths are, and I'm glad that you're saying that that sometimes you just need to get it out. You just need to say what you need to say and feel what you need to feel. And I think empaths they're good for doing that for other people. They're good for, being the sounding board for other people and taking out other people's stuff and listening to other people and their problems and helping fix them, or try to help it. It's not easy for empaths to reach out to ask for help. It's not easy for them to be on the receiving end.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
unnatural.
Right. I saw Cheryl Richardson about 20 years ago. Do you remember her? She did the journaling thing with Oprah, and she was real big for a while. And I haven't heard anything from her
Oh,
for a long time, but I heard her speak, and she said that everybody's got like this guy named Alfred that'll call you up and just kind of vomit out all their troubles, and then they feel great, and you're kind of sitting there holding the bag. And that kinda helped me a lot to think about, giving them a name, Alfred.
yeah. Alfred. Yeah, that's a great, yeah. I mean, and, you know, and empaths too, because that is their natural kind of instinct, is to want to help. So when they do have, they do feel uh, depleted by people, or they do feel exhausted by people, they then feel guilty, because it's like, why can't I, what, they're the one with the problem, what am I complaining about, that kind of thing. They even go, I remember even as a kid, like worrying for other people. I remember there was a little girl when I was about was probably about 9 years old. And there was a little girl that was quite overweight in my class. It was like fifth grade class. And in the 70s, that wasn't now there's a lot of overweight kids. At that time, there really wasn't. And she would get picked on mercilessly. And I used to worry and go home and cry. I mean, I probably, and she was just like, whatever. She took it on the chin, whatever. She was, just a very happy girl. But I was so upset by it. And maybe that's why I was taking on her pain. But I would go home and worry, and I would go home and cry. And I think that is, so when we're not able to do that for people, when we're not able to take on their pain, because we'll do it anyway, we have a lot of guilt over that. And we feel like we're being selfish, when actually, no, we're just exhibiting self-care. That's like anybody would. But for an empath, it's a very unnatural position to be in. And so you have to learn. You have to learn, and you have to put in place, kind of just steps to get there, to just do the minimum of self-care that most people would just do, but empaths have a really hard time with it.
Your channel is kind of like the empaths channel. Like you have the community section, and everybody's always there. Like, please pray for and send light to this person and that person and their family, and it's a beautiful thing. So I think maybe, do you feel like you get more sensitives, more empaths in that respect?
Oh, I bet I'm sure that we do. I'm sure that we do. Because whenever I talk about what's happening with the energy and what you may be feeling, everyone's like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this. Because I did a video recently talking about that there's these waves of like fear, and then you'll get waves of like anger. And as they go over, as for people that are sensitive, that fear will really knock you down. It will kind of it can make you a little dizzy. It can make you tired. It can make you kind of keep you frozen, feel like you don't want to go out or don't want to do anything. And then that anger energy can make you kind of irritable and kind of touchy and kind of moody and stuff. So, but when I talked about that, people were like, oh my gosh, that's me. Oh, that's happening all the time. And it is like these waves. So you feel like you're a little nutty, and day to day kind of feeling kind of knocked out. And then other days you feel kind of like, kind of angry and irritable and stuff. But that's just what it's in the collective right now. And so being able to remember to keep your own energy clear, to protect it, to put protection in place, which is a must for empaths, that it really helps right now.
Yeah, it really does. And to have a place to go and to let it out is impressive. I mean, thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, from everybody. I just wanted to pull up a couple of great comments here. Pamela says, I have to be careful who I allow in my orbit.
Yeah.
And Tony, I love what Tony says always. I did not learn self-care, self-compassion, and self-love until my 60s, when I was a widow and empty nester. As the eldest of 5, I was taught I was responsible for everyone. Yeah. Yeah. Ditto for that.
Yeah. That's and I think that's very it's very common, because when you are in that place of worrying about everybody else, it doesn't even occur to you to think, what do I feel? What do I think? What do I want to do? But then when everybody's gone and you have all this space, all of a sudden you're able to put, you figure out, oh, this is what I need. This is what I'm lacking. This is what feels good to me. This is, everything. It really changes the dynamic for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Lisa's talking about bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Amy's talking about the roller coaster. Isn't that
Yes.
the truth? Right. And there are physically actually waves coming on with the solar flares and everything. So it's not just emotional, is it, or crystalline energy, but it's also a physical component that affects us.
Yeah, and I don't follow, I should say, like astrology and things like that, but I
No,
know there
yeah,
are huge shifts happening,
yeah,
and I'm always seeing things about solar flares and about like new moons and half moons and quarter moons. I'm like, all of this must be just wreaking havoc because yeah, it's the physical stuff and it's the water stuff and all of those things that are definitely affecting us as humans on the planet. We can't help but, affect us. So yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. It's been a lot going on. It's like things keep happening, and you're like, really, really, and I did hear something about how, and I we're not here to talk politics, but just that the new political party in had said at the onset that they were going to do 3 things a day that would upset people, and they're going to do it every day, and then your energy is going to go crazy, and you just don't kind of nobody can keep up. And I thought, well, that in a way that's brilliant because nobody's keeping up, but we're all kind of getting tired of it too. Yeah,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of exhaustion, and with that exhaustion, when you're when so much is happening and you are exhausted, and all you can kind of do is watch it happen, which you can't. I mean, you can take part. There's things you can do, but it depends on what your life is. If you are working 7 days a week or you're working 2 jobs, you just kind of have to keep working. You kind of are seeing it out of the corner of your eye what's going on. So, but being in that, but if you're exhausted by it and you're in this kind of watching it happen and not necessarily being able to do a whole lot, it creates helplessness or hopelessness. And that's where you don't want to go because that is such a low vibration. And particularly for empaths, though. I mean, everything is like double. When you talk about empaths, it's like it's more so just because they feel it so much. They feel it, it's just when somebody's sensitive. If you are sensitive to, like an allergy, if somebody's sensitive, somebody is maybe gets itchy with the grass, but if someone's allergic to grass, it's different. It's the same kind of thing. But yes, it's very real right now, and so it's really important again to kind of move into that self-care and to notice when you're getting into those spirals of kind of helplessness or hopelessness, and you're moving into those, and try to remind yourself that, this is the most, actually, this is the most peaceful time on the planet. We don't have, I mean, it feels like there's war everywhere, but there really isn't. It's a very peaceful time. And also, on the world as a whole, maybe not right here, but on the world as a whole it is. And the other thing to remember is that the impulse of the universe is to grow and expand and change and evolve. And we're always doing that. So no matter what is happening to pull us backwards or make us feel like we're falling back, we're always moving forward. Just as we elected, this person into the head of our government, Mexico has their first female president. Things are always progressing, even though it's not all everywhere all at once. It's still as a whole, we're moving forward, we're progressing. So it's still good news. It's just that, it depends where you are right now, so but keeping that perspective, like that bigger perspective, I think is important. And then if you want to go bigger than that, we're all eternal spirits and we're just having an experience here and everything's fine, ultimately everything's fine.
it's hard to remember that sometimes. I know a few weeks ago, a few things happened, and I decided to have a pity party of one. calling Terry, pity party of one. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to let myself go for it for an hour or two and, make some tea and watch a movie and maybe scream a little and
Uh-huh.
see what happens. But so processing those feelings when they come up,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about that at all or how you did
Yeah.
that or?
Yeah, I had an experience with that. I actually documented it because we're going to be spending more time in the UK because my daughter is there. She lives there. So we're going to kind of be, we've been most of the time in the US and a little bit of time in the UK, but now we're going to kind of be half and half just because she's going to be staying there. So it's just, it's complicated, but that's what we're going to do. So I'm cleaning out a bunch of stuff and I'm kind of documenting it for my channel because they were interested. So I'm like, okay.
I thought it was great. I was so impressed. I'm like, there's no way I'd be showing anybody my closet.
Well, it's like at this point, I've been on like 7 years. I'm an open book. So it's been a process, and I describe myself as a very kind of an organized pack rat. My everything is very uncluttered, which is very much like an empath. They like very uncluttered atmospheres. But if you open my closet, it's, a ton of stuff. And so I have a lot of stuff to go through. Yeah, I've got a lot of things to go through. And I was cleaning out my clothes and my closet, my shoes, my socks, and blah, blah, blah. And I was just buried. And I turned on the video to film, me in the middle of all this stuff. And I was kind of just feeling all the feelings. As I was going through, I started getting angrier and angrier. I was, my daughter they were kind of halfway through the process of coming here. And then our government did a flip flop. So they're like, maybe we'll stay here for a while. So it shifted our life in a big way. So I was feeling all those anger feelings coming up. It was very interesting. And what I realized is that I needed to stop and just feel. I just needed to feel what I was feeling, not necessarily think about the feelings, right? Just feel what was happening in my physical self. Where was it hitting me? When you bring in the mental stuff, you perpetuate it, right? It keeps going and going, and you can just spin out of control. But when you just feel and try to just take those deep breaths and just feel what's happening in the body, you can kind of let it move through you rather than, perpetuating it in your head and then holding on to it like it's, it kind of, the mental stuff keeps the emotional stuff going, and the emotional stuff keeps the mental stuff going. And it's just kind of this tornado that happens inside. Instead of letting that happen, let it kind of be a breeze that just blows through you. And so I just kind of stopped everything, and I talked about it on the video, and I said, it's not up yet, but I'm going to put it up. And it just talks about, I'm going to just have to stop and just feel what I'm feeling, because this is real. I'm feeling all this stuff, and I need to just figure it out for a second. And that's exactly what I did. I just kind of sat and just breathed and just felt the feelings. And there were some tears, and there were some, just like heaviness, and it moved through me, and that was it. It was over. But I think that a lot of times what we do is we get in that cycle, just that inner turmoil. We just keep it going. But if you can get out of your head and just go to the body and just feel the emotions, just feel the feelings, and don't allow the mind to make them bigger or smaller. Just allow the feelings to come through. It's a really helpful practice. And it helps to, because you have to process them. You have to process the feelings. You can't ignore them. And so being able to do that for me, has been a really helpful process.
Yeah. Yeah. I realized, I think just a year ago or something that, my husband died 10 years ago, and I was fine. I said I was fine, right? I mean, I was processing it and I was grieving, but, I was also running a business, and then I sold the business and I started on my path, went to the Chopra Center and did all sorts of things and learning, came here to YouTube, took classes with you and Debbie. Anyway, it was like, and I was going through all that, but I found out that there was still a piece of me that was frozen.
Mm.
And it was like, sometimes you go through the motions and little by little, it thawed, that frozen piece. But yeah, that freeze component is really hard to get to sometimes.
It really is. Talking about that, because you were talking about grief. Grief has a tendency, sorry, I'm fighting a cold. I'm sorry, I'm fighting a cold. But grief has a tendency, not all the time, but a lot of times it can get stuck like that.
Mhm.
It's like it sticks in you or something, or it gets jammed up. And I have a video that I did a while back when my mom passed away, where I was feeling like that, exactly like that. Like I was just like, I couldn't move from a certain place in my grief. And I asked orbs to come in and heal my grief. And what ended up happening was, and again, it's on camera, so they come in and they're kind of moving through me. And as they do, this like tension starts to build up in my chest, and I just start to sob. And it's like I needed to cry. I needed that outpouring. And I think in the West in particular, we're very much like, okay, the funeral's over, now get on with life. It's really weird how we handle death, that we really expect so much of ourselves to just get on with it. And it's not the way we should be doing it. I don't feel it's the way we should be doing it. I feel like there needs to be a much longer and better process for all of this. But that's what happened. And I think it's the same with, like you were talking about, how you kind of get stuck. And everything kind of gets stuck inside of you. And maybe it is that tendency for us to just hold things in and just get on with life. And that's why that happens. I don't know. Have you given it any thought as to why that happened?
I feel like there was a part of me, and I'm going to get real woo-woo here, so I'll just.
That's okay.
But I feel like I didn't feel comfortable with my divine masculine energy because of that. And so so that helped a lot when I started going into that divine masculine energy, not connected to my parents or my father or any person, but as a higher self, higher consciousness of divine masculine. That protection and that clarity and whatnot. Anyway, so
that is so interesting. And everything's within, right? We all have it. We all have these parts of us that we give, or we give our power away, I guess. We give it to other people to be for us or to do for us. But it's there. It is there.
Yeah. Everybody's talking about, Kate says, you get acupuncture and you would cry quite a bit during the sessions. That's beautiful.
And Lynn was asking, where do you think the grief is held in the body? The heart or the whole chest area, or what did it say? Or is
person by person. Oh, interesting, Lynn.
For me, I always feel like it's just the upper body. I always feel like it's like my shoulders, my chest. I can feel it in my upper back. That's where it is for me. It may be person to person. Where did you feel it the most? And I think it probably has to do with the heart and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I felt a lot of it in my heart, Lynn. I also felt it because we have a therapist, an Irish woman that lives in Australia, and she's our family therapist. And she does shaking. So you kind of elevate your legs and shake your psoas, so your pelvic area.
Oh,
And you kind of release it there because supposedly your psoas, you hold a lot of tension, But the heart chakra, yeah, is huge for me too. Right, Elizabeth? Yeah. Where we still feel sadness.
Right.
Oh, Diane finds it in her respiratory system. Interesting.
Oh, interesting. And
Yeah.
that's also the chest, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And hypnicity, I think we got it. It's fluid. There you go. That's all we needed to say for the whole hour, hypnicity. It is, you're right. Bam. So, yeah.
I wonder too if it has, just to add another layer, if it depends on who you lose, you know?
Ooh, you're so right.
Right? Because maybe if
Yeah.
it's a pet or if it's a father figure or if it's a spouse or maybe it's held differently.
You're so right. Yeah, I can really see that. And I remembered that video with the orbs, and I thought, she is so brave. She is putting it all out there. And then you did your house, and I'm like, oh, she's really brave. Uh, yeah, there's a lot going on. Yeah, Elizabeth got it too. Nice. Yeah, it's been an interesting whirlwind going on. So when we release things, because energy always has to go somewhere, right? Energy is it's never deleted.
Right.
Um, where do you think that goes? Do you think as we heal that the energy goes to another dimension and that's a grief dimension, or is it, I guess it just, I don't know. What is it? Never
Well,
thought about it.
we're in our if you're hearing like a little like noise down here, this is my dog. He's like trying, he wants to get up, but he doesn't quite know what he wants to do. So he's like kind of whining and stuff here. In our new earth class, with we're talking about Eckhart Tolle, and he he's a wonderful spiritual teacher, but he says that the light of awareness a lot of times will dissipate certain emotions and certain things. So as soon as you bring that awareness to them and you bring your attention to them, that they kind of dissolve or dissipate. And yeah, they do have an energy. So my feeling is that once they've kind of left you, that they're I mean, I don't know if we have to consciously send them to the light or if they just kind of move to the light. But I think if the point of them for us is to learn from them, grow from them, understand them, and we get that, to me, I think that's the process to move them to the light. And so, but he talks about that light of awareness. And so I think that maybe that is the process, is that we notice that we learn from it, we grow from it, and then through that process it's released and then given to the light. At least that's my best guess.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, Eckhart's amazing. I've got that little book on presence, and it's right in front of me, and I don't see it because I've got papers everywhere. But yeah, he can really get you there really quickly. Just his voice, even.
Yeah, it's so funny. Some people in my class are like, I don't like his voice, but I like his and I'm like, I love his voice. I find it so soothing and so calming
Right?
and assuring, so it's very funny. And some people are like, it's boring, but I really like it. I think he has a really, a very calming way about him. But yeah, I love him.
Yeah, yeah. Craig talks about rituals. That's interesting. Yeah, go to family. We have say prayers and do rituals. Claire, my God, could see my soul getting contaminated, and she urged me to get one. Wow, get it done. That's beautiful. Yeah, I know. We were in Nepal, and my daughter had been there volunteering, so I went to visit her when she was moving to another country because she was quite young, and I wanted to make sure that I was there to help her get moved. Anyway, they have this place Budapest, I think it's called, and it's a sacred temple, and it's outdoors, and, when someone dies, then their body is taken there, and the family comes, and these monks are there, and they wear all white, and you wear all white for the funeral, and it's on the river, and at night, they cremate you, and your whole family is there singing and chanting, and then in the morning, when all the ashes are there, they just sweep you into the river, and
Oh,
it's kind of the circle of life, and it was a really beautiful thing. I don't know why I brought that up. I have no idea, but
well, no, I mean, I think that it is that really, it's a beautiful ritual for not just the passing of an individual, but like you said, kind of that bigger picture of that circle of life. And I think Craig talking about rituals is, yeah, I think that's beautiful. I think that, there are so many wonderful uh, rituals around people passing around the world that I think are so interesting. I think the West, uh, we still have this very weird relationship with death. It's pushed away, it's shoved away, it's not seen, it's kind of in the dark, in the shadows. We pretend like it's not there. And other cultures don't do that. It's celebrated, it's out in the streets, they bring it out. The whole neighborhood will come out when someone passes. It's a big thing that everybody takes part in, and there's something very communal but also comforting about that. And with we do it to a point. We let our friends and family know, but it's not like everybody comes out to celebrate a transition, that somebody is moving on to another. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
just different. And depending on how your family is, what your religion is, and things like that, it can be very isolating in a lot of ways, for people. And then we have this weird thing of grieving, having the funeral, and then it's like, okay, everybody back to work. It's very weird.
Yeah, and we also do the wake, right? Which is kind of like we do the funeral, and then, I was raised Catholic, and then you have, afterwards, everybody comes over to the house, and you have a big party, and it was like, well, that's gonna be really weird. It seemed exhausting, but it was really beautiful
Yeah.
in the end to have everybody there and talking and, laughing. I mean, I was shocked that we were laughing at
Yeah.
that point, but yeah.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
And I remember my mother, when my father passed away. My mom, it was, while everybody was kind of around her and helping and everything, it was great, and she felt so supported. But when the funeral was done and everybody went home, and she's just kind of left there. She had us, of course, but it is this weird thing of like, okay, just get back to your life now. It's like, and it isn't that way in other cultures. They mourn for a year, for family members and things like that. People will let people know in public that they're grieving. And so the public can be part of their process, and do whatever they do to help and comfort those people that are grieving their family member. But it's just not that way here. And I think people need that kind of, I don't know about how you felt after your husband's passing, but I think people need that constant, just love and support and checking in. How are you doing? I'm sure you had individuals, but wouldn't it be nice if your whole community was just like supportive and just like lifting you up?
Yeah, I have to say, our Catholic community, where we were living, and the kids were still young enough that, we had a huge support system because they had gone to Catholic schools, and it was like, meals and everything for a month or so. But
Oh, that's nice.
then it was like, people were asking me out and let's go to the bar and let's do this and let's do that, which sounds like a lot of fun now, but
Right.
not then. I was like, oh, I don't think so.
Well, and that's the thing, right? It's like it's I guess that's it. We don't really have a uniform way of dealing with it, and everybody kind of deals with it differently. So it's
Yeah.
we're left to our own devices, I guess.
Yeah. Especially empaths, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
sorry, guys, if I'm depressing everybody here, but
Yeah.
let's talk about death.
Well, I mean, it's part of life, right? It's not, and we don't, at least in our community, it's not seen as it's just a shedding of the physical, really, or just going home. It's not, I'm not saying it's not a big deal. It's still a big deal, but it's a transition. It's not seen as an ending necessarily.
Right? Yeah, and I think that's exciting. I'm glad you brought that up because I do feel like, as soon as people leave, sometimes it's a few days or something, but usually it's just like, boom, they're right here. We just had, my, ex-brother-in-law, the father of my niece and nephew,
Uh,
passed last week, and,
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's been a huge outpouring. He had a good life. I mean, he's a musician and,
Oh,
traveled all over
wow.
the world and
Oh, nice.
interesting. But, yeah, but I know they're gonna have something big for him, so it'll be fun. But it's funny, I already see he and, George, Reverend Saul, our crystal shaman that was a big part of the channel for a while. They're hanging together because and I think they knew each other actually in real life.
Oh,
Mm.
wow.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been kind of funny, but I do feel like once we leave here, it is a big party. I think that's the big party, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so often you've probably seen in the club where people will, when people ask, can I get a message from so and so, a lot of times they will paint a picture of what they saw or what they were greeted with when they went to the other side, rather than focusing on how they died or what they died of or what happened in the hospital room. Sometimes they will do that for just validating, but so often they will go to, this is what happened, this is what you didn't see, and this is what I saw, and they're so excited about that because it's like they're seeing their parents again. They haven't seen them in 20 years, and they're seeing friends and family, and it's a celebration of coming home.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it's it's pretty cool. I and as my mediumship has opened up more and more, it's been, if I go to a funeral or a celebration of life or just a temple or a mosque or whatever, I can really feel the energy and talk to people, and feel what they're saying. But, particularly, I went to the DMV a few weeks ago, and that was a pretty active place, which was
Oh,
weird.
interesting.
Yeah. Lots of energy there. Anyway, but, and you've got classes and all that. I think, the first mediumship courses I took were with you and Debbie.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Mm.
have all my classes are I'm doing two Zoom classes now, but I have a lot of recorded classes that you can just get and do at your leisure. I think that's nice for people just to be able to do it when they can, when they want to. One is orbs and one is dowsing rods and a beginner's kind of intuitive class, and then I'm teaching the new earth class. That's a live class, the new earth class, going through the book The New Earth, and then the empath group that you're part of.
Yeah.
So it's a busy month this month, but
Yeah. It's, I really like those courses, but, yeah, they're really good, and I love that you're doing that. And I was looking at your, website. Your website's so great. And that you're doing the 30-minute readings for people.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I'll have to add some more. I get full up and then I'll add a few and then I'll get full up and I'll add a few. But yeah, I started doing those. I kind of, I don't know if it's frustrating for people. It may or may not be, but I kind of switch my services. I just listen to my guides as far as what is needed. I just go with it, and that's what I do. And so they kind of shift a little bit. I was doing orb mediumship for a while, and then I was told, and I hadn't done readings like this in a long time. So I was told this is what people need right now. So that's what I'm doing. So they're just a half hour, but they're recorded. And I felt like the recorded readings, they last a long time. People up to like a year, people will be like, I listened to like this, I got this last year and I had a question and it was in there. It was in the reading. So they're not just for now. It's kind of like they keep speaking to you. It's very interesting. So, but yeah, so I'm doing those as well.
oh, fun. Nice. Nice. Deanne says we build spirit houses on top of the grave, 4-day funeral. Yeah, Deanne, those are so popular in the East, aren't they? Like Thailand and everywhere. The spirit houses. And now it's so cool now to in our neighborhood when we go for walks, there are fairy houses everywhere.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, yeah, it's really beautiful. I know I've seen the spirit houses in New Orleans too, I believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, I think they do that.
Oh, interesting. And where are you? What state are you in, Terry?
I'm in Kansas City.
Oh, you're in Kansas. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm actually 9 blocks from Kansas. I'm in Missouri.
Oh, you're Missouri. Okay. Kansas City, Missouri. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, I have family in England too, so we talk about that sometimes, Kim and I.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, my brother's there and all his family, so I'm over there every other year, but they always introduce me. And this is Michael's sister from Kansas. Like, okay. Because everybody knows Kansas. They don't
Yeah,
know
Dorothy.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So, but getting in touch with our intuition when all this is going on that has been such a comfort, I think.
yeah.
To so many.
Yeah. And that was a big message that has come. It was I think it was in the 2025 predictions that I did, talking about that, this is going to be this year, and this time is a lot about things coming out, revelations, truth, and a lot of just stuff coming out and out into the open, positive and negative stuff. It's all coming out. And that what would happen is that it would make us a little bit, at points, we would kind of feel like our equilibrium was a little bit off. Like, what do we believe? What's going on here? And I talked about even with readers, because the energy is so kind of crazy. And so we'd kind of be getting different, maybe not different necessarily one was right or wrong, but maybe the different ends of things. Maybe we would be getting, somebody be getting the beginning of something and somebody would be getting the end of something, but we'd be getting different portions of it just because the energies would be crazy. And they said to go within and find that kind of quiet, peaceful place inside and just sit with that for a minute. And you'll know what the truth is, or you'll know what's going on. It will come to you. You'll feel it. We all have that place in us that is that higher, wiser, calmer, more rational, that being, that spirit part of us that is there. It's always there. And we just have to kind of get quiet, pull out of the mind, and just sit there with it. And and things become, we get clarity that way. That's how we get that clarity. That clarity comes in, and all of a sudden it doesn't seem so confusing, or it's like, oh, of course that is the way that it is, or of course that's why that happened, or it comes. And so, yeah, being able to find that place, whatever you want to call it, that your center, but moving to that place that is, just that higher wisdom that we all have. It's always there. It's always there. It's just covered up by all the drama,
The program,
all the 3D stuff that happens, and all the doubts and the stuff that comes in your head. But if you can pull out of your head and just go into the body and just sit there and breathe, things become clear. You get clarity in the present moment. You really, really do.
I remember one time you said that you get a lot of clarity when you clean.
Yeah.
And I always think about that when I'm like, I really don't want to empty that dishwasher, but I guess I will. And then I'm like, okay, be Kim, and look at it and put it away.
Yeah, it is. It's a way that it's a thing that I use, that because I have to do, I clean every day, and you can pick whatever you do every day, brush your teeth or wash your face or whatever, but it's something I do every day. And I just made it part of my spiritual practice to pull my spiritual practice into my everyday, because we need spiritual practices every day, but it's not always conducive to our lifestyle. We can't all just sit down and meditate for 2 hours or an hour or whatever. And so bringing it into whatever you do that you can be present with, if it's painting, or if it's, washing your face, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, just being present, that brings the spiritual into that activity. And for me, it's cleaning. It's very easy to just kind of be in that meditative state and just do and be in the moment. And so that's what that's where it comes in.
Yeah. I always admire that. I'm like, oh man. Yeah. Shine your light, right? It's the truth. And I feel like there's such a component with science and math and the arts now. And so many people that are so intuitive, that have been involved in music and whatnot. And you were in music for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I do you feel like that's like a huge help for you to have that vibration, or already know that frequency?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I think there's more meaning to it than I understand, because I feel like it does have a lot to do with the way I connect with people and understand people. I think tone and frequency and music is all connected. It's all the same kind of thing. And I think the way that even being able to, the way that you listen is a little bit different as a musician. You listen in parts and in a different way, I think. And so I think that helps as well when it comes to listening to spirit and like clairaudience and things like that. So I think it does touch on a lot of areas that I may not even be aware of. And I know that, math and mathematical equations, that's all over music. That's what music is. And it's it's the base of all of music. So it's all about math, so and beats and rhythms and stuff. So or it's based in math, I guess I should say. And so is the universe. We know that the universe is all equation and all, so many people that have had NDEs have talked about seeing numbers and math and the way that everything, is kind of formed together. And I think that's why there is this feeling of everything, even though we don't understand it all the time, that it's all making sense. And I think about that especially with me, with math. It's like, I don't understand it all the time, but it always makes sense. It has a sense to it that that is its own. And I think that it's the same with stuff in the universe and stuff going on, and that kind of that higher order to things that we cannot see in the fray of it, because we don't fully get it, but there is an order to it. There's something going on that just feels like, okay, something's going on here, and it's all okay. And I think it comes in a lot of times. I think for some people, that feeling came in during the last election. A lot of people said that although they could see in front of their face, this is not going the way I thought it would, or this is not going the way I was hoping it would, a peace came over them. I had this thing, that same thing happened to me, where I felt like everything is okay. And I think that's what's speaking to us in those moments. Maybe not that moment for everybody, but you may have had those moments in your life when something happens and a peace comes over you, the peace that passes all understanding. I think that's what we're tapping into in those moments, is a higher order. Everything is okay. Everything's going to make sense. There's something bigger at hand here. You just can't see it in the moment.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We don't know how we're doing it, but we're doing it, right?
Yeah.
We're getting through it, and we're not. Sometimes you do that when you're in that fight or flight freeze, but I feel like now we're doing it consciously with awareness, getting through it. Yeah,
Right.
living. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody, it was a crazy night. I woke up several times and just checked the vote, and I thought, okay, this is it. And then I woke up at 5 a.m. and I thought, did everybody else go to the fifth dimension and I'm left here?
Bye, Terry.
Don't leave me. Don't leave me, you guys. Everybody else is gone. So what is a good practice for us? Like when we're, when we hear crazy things on the news, or somebody comes crying to us, a loved one, because something's going all wrong, their social security, so many of our relatives are probably very upset. I know I've got that in my family with what's going on.
Right. Well, I think this is it's going to be twofold, right? Because it's going to be lending that, obviously, lending that compassion and kindness to people. There'll also be opportunities to get into community and help people in a physical way. We had a thing not too long ago where somebody was put out of their home, and we all band together as a community and got some money together and got them to safety. So we can do things as a community. So there'll be things like that we have to come together for. But as individuals, I think one thing that was very, again, came through in the different videos that I've done, is being very, very protective of your energy, because then, and the reason why is because you don't want to just, you don't want to deplete your energy on stuff that isn't worthy of it, right? Getting angry over stuff, or listening to something stupid someone says and you get all out of shape about it and stuff. Being very protective of that energy, because realizing that it's yours, and so you want to use it on things that you really care about, that are really important to you. And so don't waste it and spin it out on stuff that it just doesn't matter and has nothing to do with you, and is just going to make you angrier, or so being very cognizant of what you're watching, what you're bringing into your home. If you do have people that are just complainers, or just whatever, limiting your time, or pulling away for a while, things like that, but being very very cognizant and very aware of how you're protecting your own energy. And then when you do have things that you need to attend to, or you need to, or you want to attend to, you'll have it to give. And you'll know, when your energy is clear, you're aware of what you should take part in and what you shouldn't. You have clarity. When you're just pulled in all directions and just expending your energy everywhere, you really get your equilibrium gets off, and you get very confused, and you don't have clarity. But when you're very conscious, like you talked about, very conscious of what you let in, what you're doing, how you're focused, you're very aware of where you should be expending your energy and where you should be, what you should be taking part in. It will become very clear to you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. I know you've got a lot going on right now. So with your classes and the Intuit Club, and it's a great club. So anybody that's watching and hasn't already joined, it's you get so much for it.
Oh, thank you.
Readings and the movie club and everything and whatnot. So it's funny, we were talking about that thing where giving your energy and healing. I hadn't read a fiction book in about 10 years since my husband died. And just
Oh,
this year I started reading them again. But being able to watch a full-length movie sometimes even is hard. But I feel like everybody that I've talked to, everybody in the tribe, it's been like, all the feel-good movies. A
yeah,
Disney movie or whatever it is. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, there's so much good stuff out there. There's music, and there's art, and there's museums, and there's parks, and there's the national parks. All of these things are just, yeah, there's so much beauty in the world. um, definitely indulge in all of that good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was lovely, especially when you weren't feeling well. So take
No,
care of
thank you so
yourself.
much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here too. So we will see you later. Bye. There we go. We're going to be here all night.